You may have been hidden for a long time, but you've been faithful. You've been growing, getting prepared. I believe and declare God is about to bring you out. He's about to cause you to be seen. People are going to notice you that have never noticed. Keep being faithful. Your appointed time is on the way. In Jesus' name. And if you receive it, can you say amen today?
95% of our decisions are made by how you feel in the moment. And that is the problem. Do you feel like getting up? No. Do you feel like making that cold call? No, you don't. Do you feel like doing that third set of reps? No, you don't. We make decisions based on our feelings, and that is robbing you of joy and opportunity.
I will my way to the top. Some of you got that same fight in you, but you fight people. You're still cussing folk out. You're still laying hands on people. That's the easy fight. Now fight your bad habits. Fight your addictions now. Fight your laziness. Fight your procrastination. Take that energy now and fight to get a degree. Fight to start a company. Fight. Most of y'all where y'all are because you never take ownership. It's always somebody else's problem. It's always somebody else's fault why you didn't do what you were supposed to do. It's not their fault. Take ownership. Take the parts that belong to you. Why? Because I'm the one that's messing up opportunities. I'm the one that keeps repeating my past. And you need to free yourself up and start doing something new. But you can't do new until you get rid of that old. Cut it off. Cut it off. Cut it off. Do what you're supposed to do. You ain't no boy no more. Understand every time you point the finger that what you saying to your dreams and goals is, I'm about to put you on hold. You got to take ownership. I take full responsibility. And I'll do whatever it takes. I'll take ownership. I'll get up. I'll stay late. And that's why you point the finger, because you don't like how the pain feels. That's why you say he did it and she did it. That's why you give the power away, because it hurt too bad to say, I did it, I take ownership. It was my fault. That's why you point the finger. You ain't ready for the pain. You wrong. You got ideas. You got talent. You got gifts. Stop shrinking down. Stop minimizing yourself. Take the risk on you. Take the risk on you. You own you. And there's some of you, you know what you want, but you are not personally willing to do the work it takes to get it. What you're trying to do is do what you've done on this level and get the next level. You're like, I'm getting up every day. I'm lifting weights. I'm eating right. And I'm not getting the opportunity. It might require getting up and working out 3.5. It might require you saying no to your friends. It might require you changing your diet. It might require you moving to another city. Whatever it takes, you got to be willing to do it. And you keep saying you're not there because of something else, because it's easier to blame somebody else. I have to take complete ownership. Internally, I had to look at all the things that I didn't have control over and say, I got to take control. Everybody want to be a business. Everybody want a six-pack. Nobody tell you the pain that come with it. You're putting in work, and just because you can't see the result, you want to quit or give up. I ain't never quit. I ain't never give up. I ain't never give in. I just kept grinding. If you keep going, you're going to break through. The only people that don't break through are the people who scoreboard watching. When you go out there, I need you to have that dog. When you get out there, I need you to kill or be killed when you get out there. We ain't playing no more. We ain't taking no prisoners no more. When you get out there, whatever you can get, go get it. Because they going to get it before you get it. And they ain't going to give it to you. So you go out there and get what's yours. When you leave this room, you take care of dog on every single thing. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your background is. Don't let nobody fool you. If you're willing to grind on Monday, if you're willing to grind on Tuesday, they can't stop you. I don't have to accept the life that was given to me. I can create my own reality.
I wonder what wall you think is stopping God from doing what he's doing in your life right now.
We have to fight the good fight of faith. There's only one acceptable attitude toward fear, and it's this: I will not fear.
You will come out of it not with less respect, but with more respect than had they not tried to hold you down. What's meant for harm, God will turn to your advantage.
Joy, well, it is the strength of the Lord in your life. Joy is your strength to keep on going.
The great people, they look ahead, but the fool never looks ahead, and they suffer the consequence. You anticipate, what are the potential barriers between me and my goal?
Pray as if everything depends upon God, and work as if everything depends upon you. And so, part of the process. It's working on yourself.
Now I want you to ask yourself, what are the things that I'm doing on a daily basis that whether I want to live or I need to live?
How am I going to improve? When the crisis is over, do I come out better or do I come out bitter? Wow, that's a huge, huge issue.
Drama and dysfunction is the orchestration and works of the devil. And when things are blessed, you purposely try and figure out a way to make it stressed.
And it requires everyone to courageously confront the tyranny that's them and the unknown that surrounds them, and to work for their own benefit and for the benefit of their families and for the benefit of their communities, and to do everything they can to benefit the world and to live with true speech as the highest value. That's how we sort out the world.
It's not your fault if your partner cheated and ruined your marriage, but it is for damn sure your responsibility to figure out how to take that pain and how to overcome that and build a happy life for yourself.
No matter how far you get in life, you have to be able to go back to scratch in your mind at a moment's notice. You can never get so far beyond scratch.
Describe why it is important to you. This is a process where you either talk yourself into it or talk yourself out of it.
Question, are you going to be defined by what stood against you or how you got over it? I'll tell you something right now. I want to find out what's on the other side of the wall. Because people don't put up walls unless they're concerned about something on the other side. So whatever the devil has been fighting you with, I just wonder, why is he so threatened and worried about you getting through it? What's on the other side?
I didn't say you'll never feel fear. Make sure that you understand what I'm saying. You will feel fear. But feeling fear and fearing are two different things. You see, you can feel fear and yet not be afraid. Because the word fear means to take flight or to run away from. It means to shrink back.
And they're not bad people. Sometimes they're just jealous. They don't want to see you succeed. They don't want to let someone new in. And this is when it's tempting to get offended, get baited into conflict, live defensive. You have to stay on the wall. Leave it alone. Trust God to fight your battles.
I don't know what it is, but it seems like if we're not careful, we will miss out on joy. There's like these joy barriers, and we have joy challenges. We have things that are trying to rob us of our joy. Life is living and then waiting to live. Sometimes if we're not careful, we will just miss out on all the opportunities to actually be living.
You got to be realistic. You see, you're going to face challenges. But if you can identify those obstacles in advance, guess what? They're not going to be so intimidating. As a leader, I am always trying to think of what are going to be the next barriers to doing what you want to do, to achieving whatever you want to achieve, having whatever you want to have. I'm not thinking about right now. I'm thinking about what are the problems we're going to have next year, 5 years, 10 years.
Things happen to you, or they can happen in you. And what happens in you is an initiative, a willingness, a determination, a stirring up of something. I said, no, this ain't going down like this. No, this is not the end of the story. No.
Sharing, and we're talking about sharing out of our personal life. Sharing is where, instead of you sit down and I kind of tell you what I think you probably need to know. If I share with you, I say, you know what, here, sit right beside me. Here, sit right beside me, okay? And I want you to sit beside me because I want you to experience what I experience. I want you to feel what I feel. I want you to see what I see. I want you to watch me as we're in this crisis.
Us being our own mountain. It's like, man, you know, the peaks and valleys, we got a lot of challenges in lives and mountains to climb. I suffer from it sometimes. We all suffer from it. But are you your own mountain? Harriet Tubman said, I was able to free over 1,000 slaves. I would have freed even more slaves if they would have known that they were slaves.
We have goals on a daily basis and a weekly basis and a monthly basis, and personal goals and familial goals and social goals, but all of that has to be nested in the broader world of value. Let's say all of that has to be nested within something like, well, what is the ultimate goal? What is the final goal underneath which all of those more proximal goals are subsumed?
Fault and responsibility do not go together. It sucks, but they don't. When something is somebody's fault, we want them to suffer. We want them punished. We want them to pay. And we want it to be their responsibility to fix it. But that's not how it works, especially when it's your heart. Your heart, your life, your happiness is your responsibility and your responsibility alone.
When you accomplish something in life, if you want to go back to scratch and go back to that $7 a month place where I once lived and visit that place for a long period of time, if you were here when you went back to scratch, you would now be here. Scratch is what makes you better. Scratch, friction, obstacles create growth. There's no friction when you're this far up in the game anymore. You think there is. That's right. When you achieve so much, the friction is minor.
When you're unclear as to why something is important, usually you put only half-hearted effort into it. What you want is a powerful motivator, but the reason why you want it is an even more powerful motivator. It has greater pull. You may find that some of your goals you thought at first glance were important are not important after all.
Tell somebody I got something to give. No, I'm not just surviving for me. I've got something special. I've got something to give. It will be the fruit of what I've been through that will preserve my purpose. Sit next to a fruitful vine.
And I just wonder how many people are here today that you're not where you should be in life because Satan has held you back with fear. You can do it afraid. That means you can feel fear, you can feel afraid, but you can still go ahead and do what you believe God wants you to do.
They put me down, discredit me, when in fact I'm trying to be a source for good, then forget it. I don't need it. I'll stay where I'm appreciated. Here's the principle again. You don't have to guard your reputation, but you do have to guard your heart. God is going to take care of your reputation. The question is, are you going to take care of your heart?
Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. What he's suggesting is that many of us, we're kind of all waiting to live. It's what Ortberg talks about, that where we get caught in this moment. Like maybe some of you, you're going on vacation this summer and it's like you're kind of just miserable until you get to vacation. Some of us, like we live our whole life just waiting for Friday, and it's like Friday, now I can have joy.
Try to think through what could hold us back. What are the unintended consequences of what we're doing right now? What I'm talking about is just being a wise woman or being a wise man. The wise man looks ahead, but the fool attempts to fool himself and won't face the facts. They won't face the facts. Ever met anybody like that? They're in total denial of reality.
When I decided I was going to get another house for my mother, I had no clue in how I was going to do it. No clue. But in tradition, like my mother, I believed I could do it, and I did it. I don't tell you this to impress you, but to impress upon you, don't you throw in the towel on yourself because of what has happened to you.
Sharing basically is inclusive. It's not, I know something you don't know, I'm going to teach you, although mentoring has that, no question about it. It's kind of like, I'm going to let you on the inside. I'm going to let you see me. It's what I tell communicators all the time. And leaders, do you want fans or friends? If I want fans, I'm going to constantly make sure that my level of excellence is so far above yours that you just can applaud me, but you can say, wow, that man is amazing, but I can never achieve what he achieves.
I believe that every man and every woman individually can create a better outcome for their life, situation, career, and circumstance if they stop self-sabotaging and going out of their way to fuck up their own situations.
Most of us are also afraid of the unfamiliar. I've never done that before. I've never lived in that city before.
There's something about free speech that's so central, but it's very useful to have it articulated and to know that this is bedrock, right? And it's not something arbitrary. It's not a mere game that we're only playing in the West. None of that. It's the most fundamental truth that the human race has ever discovered. And we lose it at our absolute peril. And it's not death, it's worse than that, the peril. because there are worse things than death. And the worst thing than death is hell. And we saw plenty of that in the 20th century.
As long as we're pointing the finger and stuck in whose fault something is, we're jammed and trapped into victim mode. When you're in victim mode, you are stuck in suffering. The road to power is in taking responsibility. Your heart, your life, your happiness is your responsibility.
I'm sore. I'm going to get a massage today. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat today. The refrigerator is always full. So your comforts are now, so your discomfort is now very minuscule to your discomfort back here in the $7 a month place. So you have to go back to the total discomfort to then raise your level of where you're at now.
Do some reflecting, refining, and revising. The point is, right now, try to have approximately 4 1-year, 3-year, 5-year, and 10-year goals that you truly believe in, that inspire you, that you've sold yourself on.
You know, we live in the days where everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a ribbon, everybody, oh, I'm so sorry you didn't get what you wanted, you didn't get your seat, you didn't get your opportunity, you didn't get to serve where you want to serve, you didn't get the feedback you wanted, nobody told me it was good. And what made him a vine was what he climbed over. You ready? What he climbed over and what he brought forth.
Fear not. And once again, that means to take flight or to run away from. I can't always do something about my feelings, but I can do something about what I do and what I don't do. Maybe I can't help it if I feel afraid, but I can make a choice to go forward anyway, no matter how I feel.
I would hear the rumors. He's opportunistic. He's just in this for himself. He's trying to take advantage, questioning his motives, trying to discredit him. I knew him well. His heart was pure. He had great character, a person of integrity. You can have the best intentions, the purest motives, but there will always be people that try to cast doubt.
I've seen that sometimes. I can be so waiting for a new moment or a new season that it will rob me of the joy I can have right now, today. I can be living today. The other day, I'm just going to be honest with you. Like the other day, I'm going to my car. I wasn't late for a meeting. There wasn't something stressful taking place. There wasn't somebody in the hospital I was going to visit. I was just in a hurry. I don't remember anything else from the day but that. But somehow there's something inside of me that wants to rush through the motions.
What berries? I don't see any berries out there. All they can see is I've got this great dream. Have you thought about it? It's going to take money. It's going to take contacts. It's going to take energy. It's going to take time. Things could go wrong in the economy. You could have a pandemic, you know, all those kind of things. He's saying the fourth step is to stop, go, why don't I have it already? And what could keep me from getting it?
Ladies and gentlemen, there's some things that we don't have proof to verify our faith, to back up, to substantiate it. But we got to trust. We got to believe that what some way, somehow, the Lord will make a way.
I want to get perspective in the crisis. I want to make sure that we have reality, but we also have hope. Okay. It's okay. We're going to make it. It's okay. It's okay. How do they mentor me? Well, the first thing, they give me perspective. Number two, they share out of their personal life. Now, this one I just am passionate about, and I want to do a good job. I hope I do a good job for you. What I'm saying here is when I talk about they share out of their personal life, you sit down and I tell you what I think you need to know.
I got all these gifts and all these talents. I'm so ambitious. I feel like there's no opportunities in this city, state, or country that I live in. So why do you still live there? If you want to get into model or anything in the fashion industry, the mecca of fashion and modeling is New York City. If you're trying to get into music, the mecca is Atlanta.
To provide a definitive answer would mean that we would have to possess the classic attributes of God, at least his omniscience, to be able to finally answer, well, what is it all for? But we're still stuck with the necessity of identifying the highest level goal. And that's really the identification of that goal was exactly what our traditional religious structures were attempting to do.
fighting yourself to maintain positivity is the hardest fight you ever gonna have, right? And it's like that struggle to just stay my course, to, you know, be the person in the world that I wanted to be, no matter what people said. And it was, I started to call it offensive positivity.
Whenever something bad would happen, that's the first thing they would do. The head drops, shoulders roll forward, they look down. That sends a direct message to your brain that I failed. I am a failure. That starts the downward spiral to being a failure. On that mound, you can't ever recover. Your chin is not high, because that shows that you're way too proud. Your chin stays here. Your shoulders stay nice and level. Your feet firmly on the ground.
After you have determined which of your goals are 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10 year, and after you've made certain your list includes economic goals, things, and personal development goals, I want you to go back to this list again. Now pick out the 4 most important 1-year goals, the 4 most important 3-year goals, the 4 most important 5-year goals, and the 4 most important 10-year goals. Those 16 goals will give you plenty of work for now.
Few people like to suppress their temper, choose a salad over a burger, or quit smoking. Sometimes you do need to exercise pure willpower in contradiction to your feelings. Though, even in these cases, there are strategies in which you can exercise discipline up front, such as in the way you structure your environment, that reduce the need for the exercise of much discipline later on. You can also often learn to like these things you didn't like before. For example, you may think you hate vegetables, but if through discipline you eat them regularly and learn to prepare them well, you may actually come to enjoy their taste. It's possible to change what you want to want. Generally speaking, you shouldn't need too much discipline to pursue the basic building blocks of your life, but you will need it to go deeper and more intensely into them, and to refine their practice. So while you can significantly minimize your reliance on willpower, discipline will always need to be an active force in your life. It won't necessarily push you out the door. It won't always be a guidelines that bubbles over, rather than it can manifest itself as a simple, quiet desire, a feeling of satisfaction you may need to intentionally tune into. It's not the case when you do what you love. You will never work a day in your life. Work will still feel like work, but work can be both hard and pleasurable. Discipline is necessary. Duty is necessary, absolutely. Perception is not always reality.
None of us wake up and say, today is the day I destroy my life. What we do is we make these teeny tiny decisions all day long. We don't even realize it. All day long, these tiny decisions that take you so far off track. And then you wake up like I did and you look at your life and you think, how the hell did I get here? And you have no idea.
It has never been so easy to spend the best hours of your days chasing distractions. You can be distracted or you can get epic work done. You can't do both. Some people, they can't focus anymore. The victim is addicted to distraction. The leader is monomaniacally focused on a few things, so they do not dilute the bandwidth of their focus, their energy, and their potential. I'm suggesting to you, you don't build a wide life and you don't build a wide career, but you go really, really deep.
You got to stay in your lane. You got to keep the main thing the main thing. You got to stay on your mission and not be distracted. You know what you have to do. You're paid to be where you need to be, and don't let anybody distract you from getting your job done. You're paid for what you do and for what you produce, and not for what you're distracted from doing.
Divorce yourself from the herd. Get serious about this. This is your game. This is your life. And before you know it, you will be at the end. We all know that life goes by in a blink. Start process of breaking your addiction to distraction today.
Think about where you spend your time. Is it being wasted or is it being utilized? Handle the stuff in front of you and find every area of your life that you're just like, gosh, I'm spending a lot of time doing this stupid stuff, and get rid of it.
So you end up just wasting no energy on things that don't matter and focusing all your energy on things that matter.
When you understand that you always have a choice to go from autopilot to decision maker, everything in your life, because you will
I got to soar amongst the clouds. I got to soar amongst the clouds. I got to soar above the clouds. Nothing is going to stop my purpose.
Having wondered whether you gave it all you got, because it's going to transfer into the man you become when you leave here, and most importantly, it's going to be your identity. When you get tired, when you get fatigued, when you get down, when you're in a slump, it's your habits, rituals, routines, and your standards that carry you through.
So whether you have talent, whether you don't, the only thing that matters is, will you persevere? Will you stick with it long enough to get great?
Nothing is going to stop my purpose, because I got the attitude like an eagle. So keep on flying high. Don't let the rejection stop you. Don't let people tell you that you're not good enough. If you got an idea, then stand on it. If you got something in you and you want to share it with the world, put it out there. Maybe everybody is not going to listen. Maybe everybody doesn't want to hear what you got to say. Maybe everybody doesn't want you in their camp. You got to be that eagle. You got to get up. You got to fly. You got to soar. Sometimes you may want to come down, but you got to fly back up again. All right, so here's the challenge that I have. So there are two groups of people walking the earth. All right, you got one group right now. Now, both groups have these dreams and these goals. Both groups, from the time that they were young, saw things on television, read things in books. They physically saw people doing things. It was like, yo, I want to do that. Like, I want that. I remember being a kid, you know, and I used to watch the Brady Bunch. And I used to be like, yo, I want a family like that. I remember watching it. See, my mom had me. She got pregnant at 17 with me. I didn't really start talking to my biological father, like literally having a conversation with my biological father until I was 30. So as a child, because I didn't have that, you know, traditional home, I remember looking at the Brady Bunch going, I remember, oh, Leave It to Beaver. Leave It to Beaver. Like, I just like that, you know, as Cleavers, like, they just had it going on. You know what I'm saying? They never like really argued. You know what I'm saying? Like, they worked everything out. Everybody like had roles. It was just, they were great. Sometimes you got to cruise, but you gotta be powerful even when you're cruising. Ego attitude is such a beautiful thing. It's truly magnificent. Just look at that eagle. Do you have that mindset? Do you trust in your abilities? Do you know that you have something special within yourself? Or do you trust in the things that people said you couldn't do? Did you let the world show you that you didn't have what it takes to be what you wanted to be? You never see an eagle complaining. You never see an eagle whining and worrying about how it's going to get its meal. The eagle knows what it must do. Right? And so I remember growing up, like, yo, one day, like, this is my reality. But one day I'm gonna have a family just like Leave It to Beaver. Like, I remember saying it to myself. And I remember friends, like, they want to drive these kind of cars and live in these type of neighborhoods. I wasn't really thinking about that kind of stuff. I was just like, you know what? Like, one day I just want to have a happy family. Like, I want to come home and I want my kids to like run up to me, Dad. When they get older, I want them to be proud of me. Right? I just had these dreams. I'm gonna put my kids through college. They're not gonna have to pay for college. I'm gonna put them through college. Like, they're gonna go to, you know, these big colleges and whatever. I had dreams. Right? I had dreams. And so what I want you to do for me is I want you to And I know a lot of you are adults and you're adulting, and sometimes you don't have time for dreams and goals and stuff, right? But I want you to do me a favor, like, don't let life do you like that.
As Thomas Edison said, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to always try one more time. I know there are going to be a million times in your life where you want to give up, where you absolutely ache with the desire to quit, where nothing sits inside of your gut other than the certainty that you are going to fail, that you are not good enough to push forward. But that is to fundamentally misunderstand the nature of a failure. The nature of a failure is not to tell you who you are. The nature of a failure is to tell you a way that didn't work. It's to inform. It's to educate you. It's to test you. It's to be a gut check to find out if you believe in yourself enough to push forward even when the world seems to be telling you not to.
If you don't have good habits, you don't have good rituals, you don't have good routines, always in your life you will fall down in bad times, in slumps and fatigue and in stress.
I don't believe in faking it till you make it. You know what entrepreneurship is, right? It's the greatest self-discovery process in the history of mankind. And you learn more about yourself, what you don't know, your resiliency, how tough you are, what your weaknesses are by being an entrepreneur. It's probably the greatest self-discovery program in the history of the world. It's also this. It's the greatest self-improvement program with the highest compensation package possibly attached to it too. That's what entrepreneurism is, a self-improvement program with massive compensation package attached to it. And that's why too many of you are too focused on growing your company and not focused enough on growing you, because your company will never, ever exceed your identity or your vision.
And as Brian Tracy said, attempt the impossible in order to improve your work. Think about that for a second. Attempt the impossible just to get better, to try the things that you know are going to fail, things that the world is going to tell you simply cannot be. But even if it violates the laws of physics, if there's something in that attempt that you're going to learn, you owe it to yourself. You have a fucking moral obligation to try. Because all of the people that will lie in your wake are the people that didn't try simply because they didn't believe that they could do it. You have to be willing to look at the world. You have to be willing to see things that you yourself think are impossible and try. Because in that you will stretch yourself. You have to be willing to look inward at the state of your current skill set and say, I'm going to play outside of that. I'm not going to play where it's safe.
Forward. You got to grow you, because what will happen when it starts to grow, you'll start making unconscious mistakes to shrink it, making bad calls, getting weak, getting lazy, making mistakes. You're all nodding because you've all done it, because at some point your business got ahead of you. It will never exceed your identity and your vision, because if the company catches your vision, the company catches your identity, you're dying.
One of the things that human beings underestimate dramatically is their capacity to get great at something if they're totally immersed in it. Totally laser focused on something. But as I've coached the very high-end athletes in my life, the top business people and entertainers, I can tell you that most people underestimate what total obsessive laser focused really is and what it looks like, because you are way more powerful than you know you are if you went crazy, psycho, obsessed, laser focused on anything, even something you're totally ill-prepared for. Humans have an unreal capacity to get great at things, even if they don't have a natural talent for it, if they're immersed in it, and to learn something and acquire a ton of knowledge in a short period of time as well.
I'm going to play where it hurts. I'm going to play where I feel clumsy. I'm going to play only in the areas that make me feel stupid, because in that I know that the way that the brain responds is through adaptation, but I have to stress myself. You can't ever lose sight of that. The only way that the human animal adapts is through stress. You have to be willing to break things in order to build something new. So if you want to push the boundaries, if you want to see just how far you can go, if you want to succeed at the highest level, if you want to play on a global scale, you have got to be willing to try the impossible, because right now, the things that you need to do are impossible for you, but they won't remain that way forever. And as Aristotle said, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. This doesn't have to be a tale of always being terrified. Everybody, myself included, screaming at you, telling you that you need to go do something great. The part they're leaving out is, why the fuck should you care?
The blessing in COVID is that if you still waking up every day, it's because God ain't through with you. See, the moment God through with you just ain't waking up no more. So behind every moment of adversity, there's a lesson and a blessing. You just got to hang in there to see what it is. Like COVID for me has been a blessing because I live my life in the expectation that God is doing great things all the time, even in the midst of trial. I just know that I'm gonna come out because of my track record. See, your track, all you gotta do is look at your life. Y'all be tripping sometimes. Sometimes you trip yourself out. Look at this. How many of y'all, just show me hands if you've had really bad days? Now let me ask you something. How many of y'all had some days and you ain't think you was gonna make it? Now, you wanna know something? Your track record for surviving bad, unbearable days, your track record is 100%. So if God done brought you through all of them, why he ain't gonna get you through the rest of it? See, once you understand that, you can get on with living. A lot of people, y'all be tripping yourself out. Oh, it's the COVID. I can't go outside. Can't nobody go outside. Y'all stay in the house, learn something. Get connected, get spiritual. You can't go nowhere, talk to God. What? Figure it out, make something happen for yourself. That's what I did. Man, I had so much good stuff happen to me during the COVID. Got me some rest, lost me a little weight, saved some money, can't go nowhere. My wife quit shopping because she can't go nowhere. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
It's absolutely necessary, and that's why I wrote the book. Because people only see the good part of you. It's like Instagram and Twitter. You never post a bad picture. You know, you pass up all them other pictures, you get that one picture that's got the right angle and the right light, you put that picture up, and then put a filter on that. Okay. Okay, put a filter on that, lighten it up, change it a little bit, do all that kind of stuff. So we have started to believe the illusion that people who look good on camera and people who do amazing things only had amazing moments. And that's why we have so many haters. Because haters feel like it's not fair for you to have all the good times while I go through all the bad times. But the reality is we go through bad times too. Come on. We go through heartache too. Right. We go through disappointment. We feel bad. We get depressed. We want to give up. We want to walk away. But there's something down inside of you that keeps pushing you. I feel like
Let's take a few minutes to talk about the importance of knowing yourself enough to be your best cheerleader. You know, when you thought you were doing what you were supposed to do and were misinformed, the times you thought you had it all laid out and it just didn't work, the times when you burned the midnight oil day after day and it didn't seem to help, it didn't seem to change the end result. These are the times that you have to rely on your own self-encouragement. And there are two ways to use self-encouragement. Number one, take responsibility for the missed opportunity or the misrepresentation. Learn from the fact that even though your client wanted it one way and you presented it the right way, it didn't work. Be prepared for the letdowns that happen every so often. Know that this lost opportunity just sets you up better for the next one. Realize that you can make the necessary alterations next time. Make the changes that will make the difference. Study your mistakes and learn from them. Don't dwell on the mistakes. Acknowledge them. Learn from them. Encourage yourself that you're smarter than your bank account leads you to believe. The second way to use self-encouragement, remind yourself that you're bound to get better. Don't get down on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. It's the next opportunity that matters, not the last one, the next one. Now, the last one matters only in that you must learn from your mistakes. But the next one gives you the opportunity to show that you have learned from your mistakes. You can do it better next time. You just have to practice, practice, practice. Keep trying. Keep trying until what? Until you've got it down. If you figured out what went wrong last time, then you know how to make it right next time. If you figured out what it was in your presentation that didn't work, don't say that next time. If you figured out that the reason you didn't close the deal this time was because you didn't have all the facts and figures in place, have all the facts and figures in place next time. Don't beat yourself for messing up. Pat yourself on the back for figuring it out. You need to encourage yourself.
You need to pump yourself up. You need to be your own cheerleader. Why? Because you can't wait and hope that someone else will come along and cheer you up, make you feel better, tell you that you'll do better next time. You have to rely on yourself. You have to have faith in yourself and your ability to figure out what works and what doesn't, what's right and what's wrong. You have to have the inner belief that everything you're doing for a positive outcome in the future. You have to encourage yourself with future successes. Number one way to use self-encouragement: take responsibility for missed opportunities and study your mistakes. Number two, don't get down on yourself. Encourage yourself with your future. Encourage yourself with your goals, your dreams, your ambition. Knowing that you've got a plan. Knowing that you're taking the right steps. Knowing that you're going to do it until. When you miss an opportunity, are unprepared for an opportunity, or suffer a setback while realizing your goals, when you miss out, you need to encourage yourself by immediately getting back into line. There's an old cowboy saying, fall off a horse 7 times, and you're a real cowboy. If you fall off a horse, get right back on. If you fall off track, get right back on. If you fall away from your disciplines, get right back to them. If you fall out of habit, get back into the habit. If you fall off, get back on. If you fall off the horse of habits or disciplines or progress. If you fall off the horse, get back on. It may be hard, may be a bit frightening, but get back on. Keep your ambition alive and active and well. We must all suffer one of 2 pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. If you don't spend an ounce of discipline, you'll most likely suffer tons of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. It's much easier to be disciplined and have the money than to try to rationalize why you don't. I'm telling you, better a few disciplines than a lack of dignity. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. Don't wish for it to change out there. Develop yourself to the point that you can truly and totally rely on yourself.
Doing something that you don't find challenging, that does not make you stretch mentally, that does not stimulate you, that does not inspire you. Something that you don't find a sense of fulfillment in it. If you're doing that day in and day out, it has to affect how you feel about yourself, your level of motivation. Your relationships. What kind of impact is it having on your life? Is it nourishing or is it a toxic relationship? Does it drain you or does it build you up? Ask yourself that. How motivated are you to do something about it? Your contribution, your actions. What are you giving? Many people will leave the universe without a trace. No one will know they were here. And in fact, under their name, we could put under there, not used up. Will anybody know that you came this way? What contribution are you giving? What will you leave? What will be different because you came this way? Someone once said that life is our gift to us, that God has given us, and how we live our lives is our gift to God. What kind of gift are you formulating? Is this a gift that you like to take back and do something else before you turn it in? Think about that. What can we do? What are some of the keys that we can begin to use to motivate ourselves when our batteries run low? Because I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do, at some time you are going to get tired. At some time you're going to get in a rut. Seem like nothing you do works out right. And sometimes it just seems like you just don't have the wherewithal or the will to do anything. That sometimes you act like you're punch drunk. You're just wading through life, just doing time day in and day out, looking at non-discriminatory television, anything that's on, just looking. And depressed, feeling powerless, feeling useless, and bored. What do you do? How do you get yourself out of a rut? How do you, when you know you can do more than what you've been doing and you're not doing it and you're discontent with where you are, you get angry at yourself. How do you get out of that rut? How do you motivate yourself? One of the things that we must do is that we must be involved in working on achieving self-mastery. You must work on yourself continuously. Never be satisfied with yourself. Always know that as you invest the effort and time on you, that's the greatest ability that human beings have above animals. See, a dog can't be anything but a dog. Tree can't be anything but a tree. Human being, you've got unlimited potential. You can put effort on you, and by concentrating on you and developing you, you can transform your life wherever you are right now. So you want to work on yourself. You want to read books that inspire you and motivate you. You want to listen to tapes over and over and over again. And I suggest that you listen to tapes when you first get up in the morning. You want to control the spirit of your day. When you first wake up in the morning, your mind is operating at 10.5 wave cycles per second. That's when the subconscious mind is most impressionable. Whatever you hear in the first 20 minutes when you wake up, that will affect the spirit of your day. When you listen to tapes, listen with relaxed belief. Believing that this can happen for you. And by listening to them, listen to them over and over and over again, and you will get a breakthrough. You can listen to the same tape for months, and all of a sudden you hear something you never heard before. It have a special meaning for you. Or read the same book over again, and you find some special insight. You said, I can't believe I didn't see that the first time. So you want to be involved in developing yourself. Most people won't do that. Most people won't take that kind of effort and invest that kind of energy in themselves, because they will fall prey to that conversation within. Oh, don't do that. You don't have time. You're too busy. You're too caught up in the rat race. Most people won't do that. Well, they won't take time to go to lectures. They won't take time to go to seminars. They won't take time to go to classes to improve themselves. And as you continue to work on yourself, you will begin to expand your vision of yourself. You'll begin to work towards self-mastery. And you will begin to see it reflect itself in all the dimensions of your life, your mental life, your physical life, your social life, in your relationships, your monetary life. So concentrate on developing yourself.
Final rule. It's called pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. And it's the most personal chapter in the book. It's a lot about my daughter. And my daughter was very ill when she was a kid, but particularly when she was a teenager. She had a very terrible time of it. She had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and when she was between the ages of 14 and 16, it first destroyed her hip, which had to be replaced, and then it destroyed the ankle on her other leg, which had to be replaced. And she walked around for 2 years on broken legs, and she was taking massive doses of opiates and could hardly stay awake, and she had this advanced autoimmune disease, which produced all sorts of other symptoms that were just as bad as the joint degeneration, but which are harder to describe. And so it's just bloody brutal. You know, and as a test of your faith, there's almost nothing that's more direct than a serious illness inflicted upon an innocent child, right? And so the chapter's a meditation on that, and also on, well, what to do in a situation like that, because everyone is going to have a situation like that in some sense, you know, because you'll be faced with illness in the people that you love and in crisis. And so it's a practical guide to coping with those sorts of things. Like, and one of the things you do when you're overwhelmed by crisis is you shorten your time frame. You know, it's like you can't think about next month. Maybe you can't even bloody well think about next week, or maybe not even tomorrow. You know, because now is just so overwhelming that that's all there is. It's like, and that's what you do. You cut your time frame back until you can cope with it. And if it's not the next week that you see how to get through, then it's the next day. And if it's not the next day, then it's the next hour. And if it's not the next hour, then it's the next minute. And you know, people are very, 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 very tough. And it turns out that if you face things that you can put up with a lot more than you think you can put up with, and you can do it without becoming corrupted. And she did recover quite fully, and much as a consequence of her own machinations, because she figured out what was wrong with her and then took the necessary steps to fix it, which is nothing short of a bloody miracle as far as I'm concerned. And Anyways, part of the cat bit is I actually started by talking about our dog, who actually died about a year ago, but he's still alive in the book. You know, I let people know, because dog lovers love dogs, and if you love cats, then they think you don't like dogs, and then they don't like you. So I also point out at the beginning of the chapter that, you know, if you want to pet a dog on the street, that's okay too, so you don't have to get up in arms about it. But the idea is that, you know, you have to be alert when you're suffering. You have to be alert to the beauty in life, the unexpected beauty in life. And that's kind of what I was trying to get across with the idea of the cat. There's this cat that lives across the street from us called Ginger, and Ginger's a Siamese cat. And cats really aren't domesticated, technically speaking. They're still wild animals, but they kind of like people. God only knows why, but they do, you know. And so Ginger will come wandering over, and our dog looks at her, but they're friends, and she rolls over on his back, and Seiko used to, you know, nose her a bit. And then she'd kind of mosey over and let you pet her if she was feeling like it that day. And, you know, you have to look for that little bit of sparkling crystal in the darkness when things are bad. You have to look and see where things are still beautiful and where there's still something that's sustaining. You know, you narrow your time frame and you be grateful for what you have, and that can get you through some very dark times. And maybe even successfully if you're lucky. But even if unsuccessfully, then maybe it's only tragic and not absolute hell. And you can do that, you know, in the worst situation. You can make it only tragic and not hell. And there's a big gap between tragedy and hell. You know, there's nothing worse at a deathbed than to see the people there fighting. The death is bad enough, but you can take that, as terrible as it is, and make it into something that's absolutely unbearable. And maybe I think, and this is sort of what I closed the book with, is this idea is that if we didn't all attempt to make terrible things even worse than they are, then maybe we could tolerate the terrible things that we have to put up with in order to exist. And maybe we could make the world into a better place, you know, and it's what we should be doing and what we could be doing because we don't have anything better to do. And that's what the book is about. And that's the end of 12 Rules for Life.